Every country, almost without fail, friend and foe, has been ripping us off for years. So we're meeting with almost all of them, including China. It's not like we're going to sit down in an ivory room and we're going to just, he's going to say, there'll be some of that, very little. I don't see a lot of it. At some point in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm going to be setting the deal.
Well, as President Trump is confident in the so-called art of the deal, we're starting to see how all of this is playing out at some major U.S. ports. New data showing a steep drop in scheduled vessels arriving at our nation's largest port in Los Angeles. At just 15 scheduled vessels this week, that's down a whopping 35% compared to last year. But while arrivals at U.S. ports are down, China's largest port in Shanghai is seemingly booming, with over 100 vessels arriving in just the past 24 hours and more than 200 others expected in the next 30 days. All of this meaning some goods bound for the U.S. may no longer be arriving, causing some Americans to wonder if and when they will see fewer goods on store shelves.
100 days under Donald Trump's leadership marks the beginning of the industrial renaissance in the United States of America. I believe that a golden age of American manufacturing started 100 days ago, and we're building it right here.
Well, President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance long promising an industrial renaissance for America that is now leaving other countries on edge following weeks of mounting tariffs. Take a look at this. Factory workers in China taking to the streets earlier today. They were protesting unpaid wages and layoffs stemming from President Trump's economic moves. But how long could this American industrial renaissance really take, with the last manufacturing employment boom hitting back in the 1980s, then quickly dropping off? So all of this prompting many Americans to wonder, will this promised golden age actually happen? And if so, what will it really look like? In what's believed to be a first in U.S. courts, a man killed in a road rage incident in 2021 spoke at his killer's sentencing.
To Gabriel Horcasitas, the man who shot me. It is a shame we encountered each other that day in those circumstances. In another life, we probably could have been friends. I believe in forgiveness and in God who forgives. I always have, and I still do.
Using artificial intelligence, the family of Chris Pelkey was able to give him a voice at the trial. Pelkey was a 37-year-old Army veteran who was shot and killed by 50-year-old Gabriel Paul Horcasitas in Maricopa County. Prosecutors say it was a road rage incident that turned deadly when Pelkey approached Horcasitas' car. After honking at him at a red light, Horcasitas then shot and killed Pelkey. Last night, Pelkey's sister, Stacey Wales, talked to Chris Cuomo about the family's decision to include that AI-generated victim impact statement.
I couldn't help but thinking, he doesn't get a voice in this. Nobody knows what he thinks about this. He's the ultimate victim. So I turned to my husband, who has a background in AI, and I said, I know you've made avatars for other clients. Can you make one of my brother? And he says, Stacey, this won't work. If you don't know exactly what he'll say, I can't write that for you, and I won't give that to AI. And I said, I know exactly what he would say. I've been trying to write my own impact statement for 2 years, but I wrote his in 5 minutes, the good old-fashioned way with pen and paper. But I'd like to make an impact on this judge, and I'd like to humanize him. So can you do that?
All of this tariff back and forth has at least one small business owner putting American buyers to the test. He launched an experiment as to whether they are really as willing to pay extra for American-made products as many people say they are. Ramon Van Meer, owner of the Afina filtered shower head, listed his shower heads as either American-made or Asian-made, costing either $239 or $129 respectively. He found that out of over 25,000 website visitors, 25,000, only 24 shoppers added that American-made product to their cart, but zero, actually purchased it. Now compare that to more than 3,500 customers adding the cheaper Asian-made version to their cart, with nearly 600 sold. So this experiment calling into question whether Americans really want or have the money to buy products manufactured here in the USA. So meantime, the Trump administration's Department of Justice announcing a probe into the city of Chicago's hiring practices after comments made by Mayor Brandon Johnson at a local church event over the weekend.
Our people hire our people. Business and Economic Neighborhood Development, the deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief Operations Officer is a black man. Budget director is a black woman. Senior advisor is a black man. That's how we ensure long-term sustainable growth.
All right. Well, these comments now cited in this letter to the mayor's office as a potential violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which condemns hiring based on race. Mayor Johnson refutes those claims, stating he will not apologize for his diversity within his office and calling the makeup of the Trump administration a, quote, reflection of country club rather than country.
You know, as my administration reflects the country, reflects the city, his administration reflects the country club. And that is the biggest difference between what we're doing in Chicago and what is coming from the federal government. We're going to remain firm and steadfast in our commitment to ensure that the incredible diverse talent that we have within our administration that continues to lead us towards the safest, most affordable big city in America, we're not going to shy away or apologize for who we are.
You're using emergency procedures to jam this through Congress to meet an artificial deadline that you created yourselves because the billionaires just couldn't wait for their tax cut.
Mischaracterization may be an understatement for how they describe tax cuts for the rich.
Republicans have dragged us here in the dead of the night under the guise of having a productive hearing about the GOP tax scam bill. But the truth is that Republicans couldn't care less about how bad this bill is.
Well, let me conclude my statement.
Even more liberal justices have said this is a problem.
I understand.
We've actually passed standalone legislation.
Mr. Neguse, please let Mr. Jordan speak.
All right, things getting testy between House Democrats and Republicans as the big, beautiful bill debate continued overnight, as we give you this live look at the Capitol, where discussion is still ongoing, with Speaker Mike Johnson saying there is hope of a final House floor vote sometime tonight. So let's break it down. The bill set to end a tax on tips and overtime, also deduct interest on car loans, as well as increase the popular child tax credit and cut hundreds of billions of dollars from Medicaid and Biden's clean energy programs. So let's talk more spending numbers, starting with $175 billion going toward new funding for immigration enforcement, $150 billion in defense spending, which includes $25 billion for Trump's Golden Dome, which was announced just yesterday. And finally, another $46 billion to revive the construction of the president's U.S.-Mexico border wall that he started in his first term. So we have a lot to discuss here. I'd like to welcome in congressional reporter for our partners at thehill.com.